Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters, my nieces and nephews. I welcome you to the reading of Bismillah, in the name of God, Life Coaching for the Soul by Javed Khan. Welcome, my brothers and sisters, my nieces and nephews. I left chapter 7 on page 145 of my book. This is part 2 of this chapter, chapter 7. Expression, the secret of perfect health. It seems that expression is always one of two things, or of some interesting or confusing mixture of both. In an easy analysis, it might be said that we are always expressing either what's right or what's wrong. We are manifesting satisfaction and pleasure, or dissatisfaction and complaint. In order to heal, both must be accepted for what they are, and not only without judgment, but also without preference. The question in healing is not so much the content of the expression as it is who is doing the talking and what is really being said. It's not just a matter of what means we use or what we take to see through our illusions. Once that is accomplished, the incredible nature and beauty of God is again visible. So getting over our illusions is one of the promptings of the soul. What matters and what life seems to be all about is testing the means of accomplishment. We have been given to see if they are successful, and if they are not, choosing to seek a superior means. On body, soul, heart, mind and self. The soul is fine, it's there watching, guarding and caring, and prompting you to pay attention, like it or not. The heart is fine as long as it is beating. It is open to and in the love of God. The body is fine, whatever its condition. Surrender and acceptance is the key to the receiving of the healing love. The mind is good. Concepts and beliefs are personal, simply arising in consciousness, and can be changed or let go of at any time, since there is in reality no stone for them to be etched upon. On seeing God in everything and the annihilation of desires. Let all these things be as they are, for they are as they are. But what seems to keep getting in the way of the fullness of our divine experience in this willful thing we call ourself. It's ourself that keeps asking for and seeking satisfaction. It is in fact only desirous of the annihilation of its desires. And it's the expression of this desirousness that once again needs to be heard. It's not so much that it wants to be heard as it wants to be expressed, as in said, done, gone, annihilated, not there any longer, in a word, satisfied. Ah, satisfaction. What I'm saying here is that the ultimate satisfaction is desirelessness. In the true path, this desirousness, or the desire for desirelessness, is called, often translated as longing, and it is considered to be the only essential quality for true success. It needs only to be recognized for what it is. This is what I refer to as the root or spiritual motivation for all expressions. It is the search for annihilation. Again, one of the big negatives. We do not want to be here. It is the innate spiritual desire to be only with God and free from all illusion. Understand this. Can you see here how the recognition and honoring of our true spiritual motivations, manifested and known to be an innate quality of the soul, will be of great assistance in your healing practice? This is the spiritual psychology that allows you to see and understand the truth of all expressions for the transformation of sins and curses into blessings and guidance. This seeking for annihilation with desire as the motivation, this asking for satisfaction, is the natural quest. The search for the truth, the ultimate destination, often thought to occur only after death, but which in reality is only the death of painful desire. This motivation is an essential quality without which there would be no drama of life. It is that quality that is the true spiritual seeker within us all. Naturally, if understood, superior means can be acquired, and a destructive path will be gratified and replaced with a constructive one. With this recognition, problems can be reduced to a simple and very natural desire for satisfaction, which when seen in the light of the knowledge is realized to be and thereby transformed into an expression of the quest for satisfaction itself. The actual annihilation of desire or dissatisfaction. When seen in this light, the need for the expression of desire, dissatisfaction is understood and truly heard. Then the perceived necessity for dramatization or acting them out is diffused, so to speak. Nor is one left with the feeling that they have not been heard, that they have not been asked to repress themselves yet again. This asking for satisfaction is then recognized as an expression of the quest for the knowledge of God. For the actual physical knowing, the supreme satisfaction, the tasting of and the being in the reality that God alone exists. Now the satisfaction of desire becomes an entirely different matter. And this is why it is said that the true way is the very thing. In the true way, our souls are truly recognized, our desires are truly expressed, and satisfaction is truly achieved. We want God to hear us asking for our own annihilation. We want to know that He hears us asking for our own dissolution, that only He exists. Just knowing that He hears is the beginning of satisfaction. It is said that the end is in the beginning. For knowing about God or talking to God or asking God for anything is praising God by considering God rightly to be worthy of being asked and capable of helping. And it is stated in the original Islamic contemplation practices that God hears the one who praises Him. So the way to be heard is to praise, and therein lies the secret of all the success programs that are based upon positive thinking and feeling. The secret to perfect health. The secret to perfect health is perfect self-expression. Who knows better the needs of the heart, body and mind, soul and self of the human being than the one who created it? So who can show us a better way to a perfect life and a better way to perfect self-expression than Allah? On healing the spirit. Spirit is what moves us, and attention is what moves spirit. Wherever we focus our attention, there moves our spirit also. Spirit is the fire that removes the blocks, that lets the energy flow. Moving, kindling the spirit is the essence of all healing arts. Kiatsu, shiatsu, acupuncture, spirit healing, energy healing and healing. Focused, concentrated, divine loving attention, to mention only a few. To really feel and kindle our spirit, we must concentrate. A small example, feel the concentration of your spirit when you contemplate a fond pleasure. Skiing, biking, a movie, relaxing with a good book like the one you are listening to now. Focusing our attention on the divinity, Allah, is not an easy thing, since He is not what you think He is, and therefore, how can you focus your attention on Him? Quite conceptual, to say the least, and not very experiential. Fortunately, we have learned the techniques of remembrance, which was revealed through all the prophets and taught by generations of kind-hearted and sincere believers and seekers from all around the world. Leaders of mankind who practice compassion for all of creation, linked to one God realization, were very blessed with Allah's love in all its wonderful forms. There have been so many over time in different situations in history who have sought to make people question themselves about their true calling in their lives. Whether they acknowledged it or not, God was one to their souls as the eternal source of true love. Along with civil rights leaders from America, India, Africa, and many more wonderful souls who have sacrificed so much for humanity, including in most cases their worldly lives. Many acknowledge their thanks to God Almighty, and their gratitude is shown in their sacrifice of wealth, time, and energy towards their fellow humans. Love conquers again. We should all remember their true goals were unity and one God realization through love. Some true greats in humanity have not fully realized that God realization had been granted to themselves. We only wish that they would allow their authentic selves to shine brightly, for they owe it to Allah Almighty, for He has given them so much. True grace right now. Respect from among their fellow mankind being the highest goal for any human. The goal of spirit is its own annihilation in divine presence. It is the fabled Simu, the large winged bird that arises from ashes to fly to the sun, only to fall into ashes and arise again. A concentration of spirit needs to be present in order for it to focus on and annihilate itself in presence. Spirit is a burning flame that consumes itself, and only presence is left. Presence is what remains when all else is gone. It's an easy thing to know God, since God is never present. We need only turn our thoughts there, and boom, there we are. That's why one of the qualities attributed to God is that of Al-Tawwab, the oft-returning acceptor of our repentance and rethinking. After this connection or recharge, how quickly do we turn away? In a sense, we use God to regenerate our spirit and then turn away our spirit away from God to use it for the fulfillment of our desires, as though He is not capable of fulfilling them better than we. This is, in a sense, disrespectful, and in a sense, hurts God's feelings, because He wants to prove a point. He wants not only to fulfill our desires for us, and indeed He does, but He wants us to know Him and know that He is the fulfillment of all our desires. Feel the comparison between the lover and the beloved. See this in your relationships. In your deep heart, do Do you want to be the fulfillment of your beloved's desires? Is that not the ultimate satisfaction? Do you not want his or her desires to be so oriented that you can be his or her fulfillment? The formula is simple. Be your beloved. For only the beloved Allah is or can be the fulfillment of all desire. That is his promise, and that is exactly what he wants to be and do. In order to do this, we need to know that his presence is with us all the time. But what does this require of us? The focus of our spirit on him and him alone. Before we focus on how we can do that, let's look at a few areas of thought. On the foolishness of chasing dreams. But you say, that will take me away from my life and my responsibilities and the accomplishment of my dreams and desires. What an intense amount of energy and frustration is spent on chasing of dreams. Literally, we waste our lives away in pursuit of an illusory happiness that is always just on the other side of an if only. Yet we will all readily admit that a moment of deep contemplation upon the divine existence of God brings into our lives that very joy and happiness that we are seeking and trying to establish on a permanent basis in our lives. This is stated so nicely in the Quran. Verily, it is in the remembrance of God that the hearts find their fulfillment. How simple it is. Why are we seeking? Because we have not found. Why are we trying? Because we have not yet succeeded. Why do we want it established? Because we have not yet discovered that it already is. And why do we want it permanent? Because nothing less will satisfy. Don't you see that the life of this, your private individual world, is an exact mirror image of the real world into which Allah wants you to step with full faith, trust and confidence? So how do we get this faith, trust and confidence? Simple. Pick it up from them that got it. And who are they, you ask? I put it to you, the walkers of the original Islamic way. And how can they be so sure, you ask? Well, ask them, meet them, read about them. They've all tried it, and to a person wish to be living testimonials that it is the truth. That is why bearing witness or testimonial to truth is such a strong part of their lives. And where did they get this from? They got it from the truth itself, from themselves, their observations, their own willingness to believe in, search and explore possibilities. They got it from others who had done the same and found it to be a safe and well-trodden path. They got it from seeing love in desperation. And when they heard that this was, in truth, the very message with which all the prophets were sent, they knew it was the truth already in their hearts and believed the message of the prophets. So they joined them and their communities to live in, enjoy and spread the word of this way. Kindling your spirit is the beginning, ongoing life and living in and by the presence of the divine is the goal. Taste the true joy of life, drink from the cup of love and feel the peace of certainty and knowing. Feel the existence of endless divinity, living your life in peace, security, love and friendship, with understanding and healing for yourself and others. The law of positive attraction will find its rightful place in your life, in each moment of your life. Above all, feel and know divine love. Religion without a spiritual quest is death. Just ask the people of religion. They're all waiting to die to know God. Meanwhile, they know only what they know and are steadfast in their resolve to stick to it. Whether they are Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, or the other thousands of faiths, all doing their bit, but not enough. And all they need is a shift in focus to complete their mission and to put one God realization as their fountain, to nourish the garden of peace, happiness, contentment, love, unity, and above all satisfaction, knowing that you have reached your true goal. Even though their original religions insist that the quality of a true believer is that of a seeker of knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Ask the people without religion. For the most part, they want nothing to do with it. And for the same reason, on the other hand, the spiritual quest without religion becomes a form of stubborn resistance and unwillingness to investigate any further, and a self-assertion stating an almost fearful dependence upon independence. It becomes a heart without a soul. Religion without a spiritual quest affirms the mind and ego as being the seat of the soul and denies the heart to its rightful owner. Spirituality alone, in a sense, affirms the heart but denies the soul. Acceptance of soul requires the acceptance of religion, at least in general, and the popular abhorrence of religion in general for its authoritarianism and oppression will not allow for that. So we are caught in the predicament of needing to deny our souls the access to the very purpose of religion, the salvation of the soul. So we are caught in the predicament of needing to deny our souls the access to the purpose of religions, the salvation of the soul. On self-expression. Self-expression is the fountain of youth. It is the creator of beauty. It is the hopeless addiction, the frustration of which leads to violence and bloodshed. Repression is of exactly that, self-expression. Whether we are repressing ourselves by taking sides with the oppressor, or allowing ourselves to be repressed, as in feeling that being a victim is the necessary route to take to get to our needs. I discovered the secret of the hopeless addiction to self-expression and realized that nothing could stand in the way of this, and therefore harbored no illusions to the contrary. When self is expressed, we have a clearly manifested unburdened soul. When self is expressed, the soul is unburdened. Unburdened souls manifest. The self obscures and burdens the soul, and the soul burdens and confuses the self. The self is also a reflection, a mirror, a reverse image of the soul, in much the same way as the soul is created in the image of God. Self-expression is the unburdening of the soul, which is a manifestation of soul intent. Self-expression in any way is soul manifestation. The intent of the soul being to unburden itself, to manifest, to emerge. So we are souls learning how to express ourselves, and everything in a sense is soul manifestation. Of all manifestation is manifestation, or all manifestation is manifestation of soul. Initial manifestation is with the intention of completion. An initial manifestation is always an intent to complete something. This is why in healing, all offers, all manifestations, no matter how negatively perceived, must be accepted. And equally, because often it is that the perceived positive is as availing as the perceived negative. But even the veiling is a manifestation of intent to be seen, and must be seen and accepted as such. Completion is different from initiation. Initiation can take place without completion, but completion cannot occur without initiation. Without experience, initiation may be fumbling in the beginning, but if allowed to follow its own course of events, the point and final product will be achieved. This is why it is often said that we must surrender to ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we will achieve our goal. If we are not deterred, distracted, or discouraged, even then we will for the most part figure out some other way. And that's where straightforwardness is lost and things get devious and confusing. In the absence of security, we will look for a means to create it, because from security our confidence manifests, and it is then okay for us to feel good about ourselves without criticism. And that's the beginning of what we are looking for. In order to feel good, we must feel good about ourselves. Acting on impulse is the creation of opportunity to challenge validity through the exploration of consequences. It is a search for confidence and a part of the soul intent to have self be all-knowing. The soul is inviting self to know itself perfectly, as perfect self-knowing is divine. Perfect self-knowing is a divine and therefore soul quality. Valuable lessons are often learned through trial and error. It is fortunate if we can learn them in the company of forgiving friends. For this, I am thankful for the presence of forgiving friends. The point and purpose of the religion of Islam, surrender, is to support and facilitate the clarity of the soul's manifestation, coming from the truth and leading to the truth. Islam, surrender, is purifying. Accepting the religion of Islam, even that it exists, is soul purifying. So true Muslims, surrendered as the little children are surrendered, are true faithful Muslims. They are the servants of God Almighty, and they are the healers, should they choose to be. And they should start taking responsibility for it. It is this quality of soul purification inherent within Islam that is observed when it is accepted and practiced with a pure intention. Purity of intention is discovered and manifested more easily when under the guidance of a realized teacher. For that is the way that true prophetic transmission is received. In Islam, the truth of one's surrender to Allah is confirmed at the hand of the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be Allah's peace and blessings, and as such in the form of a confirmation or a permission to teach. This permission is from Allah and therefore inherently within all of us. This inherent capacity has also been recognized by the Prophet himself. But its outward confirmation, its proof, activation, fulfillment of potential, and maximum effect is to be found only in the seeking, finding, and learning from a true believer or an authorized representative. For how can you have your surrender and self-realization activated, recognized, or confirmed by one who is not? Thank you very much. And that is the conclusion of chapter 7. Finishes on 156. And thank you very much. This was Bismillah Life Coaching for the Soul. And this was chapter 7, part 2. Thank you very much.